Hello student, hope you are doing well. My name is Awais Rizvi. Today I will teach you O-level physics and our topic is kinematics graphs. So before starting this topic kinematic graphs, first of all we should know that what is kinematics. So let me open my slides and show you. So as shown in the slides that kinematics is the branch of physics that deals with the motion of an object without knowing its cause. There are the two terms in the physics, that the kinematics and dynamics. In dynamics chapter we will study about the motion of an object by knowing its cause. In kinematics we will study the motion of an object without knowing its cause. It means that we will not consider the forces that cause the motion. So here our topic is about the kinematics. So we will focus on the motion without knowing the cause, or the motion that is caused without the effect of the forces. We will not consider the forces that causes the motion. So as a topic is kinematics graphs, so we will discuss about the two types of graphs, distance time graph and the speed time graph. So now let us explain and discuss the two types of graphs. First of all, we will discuss about the distance time graph. So before discussing this distance time graph, we should know about the gradient. The word gradient or slope, it means same. So you should know what is gradient. Let me open the board and discuss about the gradient before explaining this distance time graph. So students, what is gradient? Gradient, as you studied in your mathematics, that gradient is the change in y. We represent the gradient with m, and it is the ratio between the delta y and the delta x. So the delta y means the change in y divided by change in x, mean to say that change in the values of y and change in the value of x. So let us consider an example. As I draw this graph, distance time graph, I am drawing distance time graph. The other thing, that the main thing that you have to remember, that as we are discussing the distance time, the word distance is written first. So you will take distance along y-axis, as the distance is written first. So distance is taken along y-axis and time is taken along x-axis. If it is time distance graph, then time is taken along y-axis and distance is taken along x-axis, and we will write its unit according to the SI unit system. The distance is measured in meters and time is measured in seconds, as you know. So after drawing this, we will write some values. We will let it 0, 10 seconds, 20 and 30, and here 10, 20 and 30. So gradient means change in value. Let us consider our straight line, this line. Here you can see that there is a change in values of x. If x is 10, if time is 10, the distance is 10. If x is 20, if time is 20, then distance is also 20. There is a change in y and change in x. So there is a slope, there is a gradient. We can say that the gradient exists. So the slope is of three types. We can say that gradient is as the gradient and slope means same terms. So gradient, if gradient is straight line, then there will be speed. I will discuss this term. First of all, I am talking about that there are three types of gradient. First of all, you should learn there are three types of gradient. It can be straight line gradient, horizontal line, and last one, curve. So these three types of gradient we will discuss in our distance time graph. So let us now start about the distance time graph. I hope so that the gradient concept is clear to you. If you have any question, you can ask me. after I discuss the distance time graph. Here we will also discuss the gradient again. So this is distance and this is time. First of all, the main important thing, you can write it in your notes, important note, that gradient of distance time graph tell us about speed. Gradient of distance time graph tell us about speed, and speed time graph gradient tell acceleration, which we will discuss later. First of all, you should focus on the distance time graph gradient tell us about speed. So now we will discuss some cases about the distance time graph. Let me open my slides. I will show you in the cases about the distance time graph. Here it is. So the number one case, you can see that object at rest. As I stated that when the gradient can be of three types: straight line, horizontal line, and curved line. Here you can see that the gradient is of horizontal line. So it's mean the gradient is zero here. So when the gradient is zero, it's mean the object is at rest. Here you can see that there is a horizontal line. So it's mean the gradient is zero. So remember that whenever the gradient is zero, the object will be considered at rest. So here you can see that you can also note that the distance is consecutively, you can see that it is remain same. 2 meters, 2 meters, 2 meters. Time is passing down, 1 second, 2 second, 3 second, 4 second, but the distance remains 2 meters. So there is no change in the distance. Body is not covering the distance, but the time is continuously passing out. So there is no change in distance. So we will say that the body is at rest, or we can say that when the gradient is zero, the object will be at rest. The second case of the distance time graph, uniform speed. First of all, you should know what does the term uniform speed means. The uniform speed means when the body covers an equal distance in equal interval of time. You can see that in the also slides, there is a straight line graph. The straight line graphs means in a 1 second, you can see that in a 1 second the body covers 2 meters distance. In a 2 seconds, 4 meters. 3 seconds, 6 meters. 4 seconds, 8 meters. So there is you can see that every second pass the body covers a 2 meter distance. 1 second pass, 2 meters. 2 second pass, more 2 meters, 4 meters total distance. So there is a every 1 second there is a 2 meter distance is covered. So as I stated earlier, when there is a straight line, when the gradient is straight, then the body is moving will be with a uniform speed. When the gradient is straight, or we can say that the gradient is with a constant slope. Here it is written word straight line means the gradient is with a constant slope. So the constant slope means the body is moving with the uniform speed. And the third case, I stated that when the gradient can be also a curved. I told you three types of gradient: straight line, horizontal line, and curved line. So when the gradient is in a curved shape, or a slope is in a curved shape, so there will be a two cases. First of all, if you find that this type of curve, this is an increasing curve, so we can say that this slope is increasing. So we can say the body is moving with an increasing but not uniform speed, with a variable speed. Increasing speed, that the body is moving with a increasing speed. It is not constant, it is not uniform, it is a variable. Variable mean with a different speeds. And the last one graph, you can say decreasing speed. Here the slope is same, but it is a graph of decreasing. It is moving from upward to downward, so it is a decreasing slope. We will say that the body is moving with the decreasing speed. So I will summarize this topic of the distance time graph. First of all, I discuss about the uh, graphs. There are the two types of graphs: distance time graph and the speed time graph. Then I told you about the gradient. That what does the gradient mean? Gradient mean that there is a ratio between the change in the values of y and the change in the value of x. As the body covers the some distance, there is also change in the value of time and also the change in value of the distance. So the first of all, you should know the word gradient. Gradient means the change in y and the change in x. So whenever there is a change in y and change in x, the slope always or the gradient always exists. So there are the four cases in distance time graph we have studied. First of all, object is rest. So here you can see that there is no change in the y value. Y value is, you can see that y value is 2 meter. So 2 meter remains same, the horizontal line. So there is no change in value of y. So we will consider that as there is no change in value of y, so we will write 0. But there is a change in value of x, we can write it 4. So 0, anything divided by 0 is 0. So the object will be considered at rest. So we will say that the body is not moving. It is at rest because as I stated that the gradient is the change in y divided by change x. So here there is no change in y. Second case I discuss is uniform speed. Uniform speed, in uniform speed graph, the gradient will be of straight line. So when there is a straight line, the body will be moving with the uniform speed, means it is covering equal distance in equal time. Third case, when the gradient is in the curve form, the body will be moving with the increasing or decreasing speed. Then you have to see that the whether this curve is of the increasing or whether it is of decreasing. If it is moving inclining at the from the down to the top, then it is an increasing speed. If it is moving from down to the up to the down, then it is a decreasing speed graph. Here you can see that. So first of all, we will focus on these types of a graph. Now in the next class, we will also move towards the speed time graph. In speed time graph, we will consider that the conditions, same cases will be considered. You can see in the slides, same conditions will be considered, but in the distance, the main difference in the distance and speed time graph is that the speed time graph tell us about the acceleration, its gradient tell us about the acceleration, whereas the distance time graph gradient tell us about the speed. So I hope so that you have got the lecture. If you have any question regarding the lecture, you can ask me in the class, or after the class you can contact me. I will discuss it with you, and I will give you some in O levels. Many questions come about the graph interpretation, and you have to draw the graphs. They give you a different types of cases in which you have to identify the graph, that whether the body is, this is the graph of the rest or the body is moving with the uniform speed. They give you a different types of graphs in the exam point of view, and you have to know and you have to identify the graphs. Whether they give you some scenarios of the, we will also discuss about the graphs. It will consider three different types of interpretation. Object is moving with a constant speed, then decreasing speed. So they are called are mixed graphs. So we will also discuss it. So in O levels exams, in CIs, they will ask you about the different types of the graphs. You will given the different types of graphs. You have to identify, you have to draw that graph, and you have to also solve the numerical problems. But we will soon discuss it. So first of all, you have to revise this distance time graph. In the next class, inshallah, we will discuss about the speed time graph. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.